Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of this hand puppet video where we begin to make our puppet come to life by using paint and adding the body. So adding paint to your puppet really brings it to life, gives it some character, starts to bring out the details in the face. Just showing you some examples of some kinds of painted hand puppets. Got my Mark Twain owl here. My Weasley guy. So these were all sculpted with clay, and then a layer of paper mache went over those. It was all cut in half, and then we put it back together and added another layer of paper mache, and then did the paint details. So how do you begin with your painting? Well, definitely referring back to your sketch that you did when you originally imagined your puppet. So you can always be flexible and you can change the colors. I made a elephant, if you remember, and I already created my base layer of paint, which means I put one coat of paint over the paper mache. And then I let that dry. So it took about 3 hours or so for the paint to dry. A lot of people just kind of do all their details all at once. Go for it. If that's how you work, awesome. I like this method because then I can add more details and they don't mix with my base coat. So I can get a little more depth this way. So what we're gonna do first is you're gonna fill your palette with color. I got this palette, I think at Michael's, pretty cheap, but you can use a plate, a yogurt container, all kinds of things from things you can find at home. Definitely reuse those. If I want to keep my colors separate, I put them in these little containers. If I'm going to mix, then I go ahead and put it in the center. And I know I'd like to make a lighter gray to go over the gray I've already got. Yeah, that looks different enough. I want a slightly different color. I might add a little bit more white. The paint that I'm using is just acrylic paint from Dick Blick. You can use any acrylic paint. They're pretty great. I've got myself red, blue, and yellow, the primary colors, and then some black and white. It's a good base starter kit. For my elephant, I would like to do the dry brushing technique, which means a lot of the paint that's on my brush, I'm going to wipe off with this paper towel. So I'm just brushing onto the paper towel. That means I have less paint on my brush. I can go ahead and start adding around the areas I want to lighten up. I'm going to lighten up the edges. Don't forget to wipe off on your paper towel. And what that does, it just kind of adds a texture rather than a solid painted color. It's just a nice, almost sponged texture. Keep adding, loading up my brush, wiping onto the paper towel. You can check out the other videos I posted too about dry brushing. It's hard to see without it being dry, but adding this other layer will just help to add some depth to your puppet. And because it's dry brushing, there's not a ton of paint, which means it's going to dry faster. And you can add your other layers over the top. You'll want other layers of like wrinkles or eyes, or if you want to put on little bits of hair. Alright, so I've been using a medium-sized brush mostly to do the dry brushing technique. Now I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. As you're layering the different colors, just remember that if you don't wait for the paint to dry in between your layers, they're likely going to mix together. So I'm laying down this layer of white to my eyes before I add the black pupils. So I'm going to just wait a little bit for that to dry. Okay, now I'm going to go in. It's pretty dry. I'll go ahead and put in the pupils. If you want, you can go ahead and use googly eyes. You can make your eyes look like a lot of different things, but it's really important when you're making your puppet that you do make eyes, because it helps the audience know where your puppet is looking. While those details are drying, you can go ahead and set your puppet head to the side, and we're going to prepare our puppet body. To prepare the fabric, cut an X in the middle of your fabric square. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to fold the fabric in half, kind of draw where that middle is. I'm going to take my scissors and just do a short little snip midway through, right there. And then right along the fold is about midway too. So now I have an X pretty much in the middle of my fabric. Now I'm going to draw and cut two other X's. The X's are going to be where your thumb and your pinky go. So you want them to be a little bit larger than your thumb and your pinky. So to cut my little X's in there, I'm just going to pinch the fabric up, take my sharp scissors, do a little slit, Alright, let's test that out. I'll put my fingers. These are my neck fingers. Can my pinky fit through here? Looks like I might need to make that a little bit bigger and my thumb a little bit bigger. So you can always just go back, snip it a little bit larger. I caution you about cutting it too big. You want it to be snug on your fingers. Awesome. So now you can either use your ring finger like this or your pinky for your puppet arms. Woohoo! Yay! I have a headless puppet. So now that you've got the body prepared, you can go ahead and attach the body to the head. So you can do that a number of different ways with a stapler or with tape. I'm going to go ahead and insert the puppet neck into the center and then flip it upside down. So if you have a stapler, you can go ahead and staple right around the neck here. You could staple. So I'm guessing that not everybody has a stapler, so I'm going to show you how to do it with tape. Get yourself some strips of tape. And as long as some of your tape is also touching the toilet paper roll, as well as your fabric, that should hold pretty well. If you wrap the tape around, and then kind of push it over the edge. Let's get one more piece just for good measure. Tuck it inside. Great. Let's try it out. Pretty cool. Now you can decide if you want your body attached higher up or lower down. It's totally up to you and your puppet's character. Cool. So what's the first action that your puppet will do? Maybe it's going to take a nap. Maybe it's gonna go for a run and play tag. Tag, you're it. Maybe your puppet will do jumping jacks. Or maybe your puppet will run a marathon. Think of a action, sort of a signature move that your puppet can do. Maybe it likes to dance the disco. Maybe it likes to look for rocks on the seashore. If you're curious about more projects having to do with paper mache, I have this book called Paper Mache Monsters, and it's super great. Turn trinkets and trash into magnificent monstrosities. That's what we're all about. The author is Dan Reeder. This has been super inspirational to me, and I bet you can pick up a copy of this at your library, online, perhaps. Yeah, there's some great ideas in there for continued creativity with paper mache. Great job, everybody. I hope you had fun making your puppet, and I hope you continue to add embellishments, details, to personalize your puppet. Really bring out your puppet's character. And after you've finished your first puppet, why not make another one and see what kinds of conversations they have? Okay, great! Bye, everyone!